A very good afternoon to all of you. We are back again with our paper or the course that is MMPF 003, which is taking us along the route of or the enrichment of ideas, knowledge, and the workings of management control system. In the earlier two sessions, the beginning two sessions, we have gone through the first two units of this block 1, that is management control, the concept and contexts. Now, talking about management control system or the MCS, as we are going to call often as we move on, we have already seen that how any kind of issues that arise during the implementation of any kind of strategy or the strategy adapted to achieve the organization goal, then how we try to control it. In other words, how we try to bring down the negative impacts. Now, today we shall move on to see the third unit of this block 1, that is how we can design the management control system of an organization, or what are the ways in which we can have a system, management control system MCS, that will be active in the organization so that strategies can be formulated and these strategies will lead us to achieve the goals in the long run. So unit 3 is our designing MCS or designing management control system. So let us move on and see how we can go through the process. Now, what are the attributes or we can say features of a management control system? When we are talking of MCS, that means the control systems, we have two kind of control systems. One is reactive control system, another one is the proactive control system. Now, let us understand what is a reactive control system or what is that proactive control system. So, when we are talking of reactive control system, I will pick up an example here. Many of us are either nowadays having a car of ourselves, or we take the help of our any kind of relations to move to a place by a car. Then another way is also we also have taxis, etc. In those or in today's vehicles, that means I am meaning cars here, we find the airbags are becoming a standard equipment in the cars, or people are preferring to have airbags in the car. Now, how does that work? Now, when the car, due to some unfortunate situation, has a collision or some kind of accidents or some kind of impacts, then the force of the impact or the accident makes the airbag to open up and prevent the persons inside the car, wherever the airbags are there, the persons will not get injured by hitting themselves to the front panels. Usually what happens if there are no airbags, either the driver or the passenger in the front or the back, uh, the first thing that happens during an accident, suppose we don't have seat belts, what will happen? Now you will get a sudden jerk and your body will continue to move forward even though the car has stopped. From the laws of physics, we know that even if the car has stopped, the body will be still moving. So that force makes us hit the front panel and we get injured, sometimes fatally also. Now, what does this airbag does? Now, it on the impact of accident or the collision, it blows itself up and creates a cushion in front of us, thereby preventing our inertia to be stopped there, and that means the driver or the passenger, we do not get any kind of hit on the front panels. Thereby, we will be prevented from the injuries, either minor or major. Now, here the basic thing is when the accident happens, that means when the accident has happened, the airbags will inflate themselves. That means it is triggered by the accident. So, whenever we get a result which is triggered by certain kind of situation, or after the situation has happened, the result will come, then we call it as reactive control system. That means the airbag here is reacting to the accident that has happened. Now look at the second type of control system that we have, that is proactive control system. Now let us take an example to understand what is that proactive control system. Same example of car let us take. Nowadays we are finding cars are coming more and more with something called as ADAS. So it is some sort of the driver assistant system. How it works? The ADAS, it is coming in high segment cars, but it is not long before that we can have it as a standard thing fitted in all the cars. So here when we are having the driver assistance, the advanced driver assistant system in the car, what it does? Now, if we are driving on the road, suppose a vehicle or certain thing or living thing comes in front of us. So there, the car fitted with a DAS will sense that there might be collision, there might be an accident. So it tries to look at the situation, tries to analyze the situation and thinks about the solution. What is the solution? It tries to help the driver by giving extra force on the brakes. That means it will trigger some sort of braking system before the accident can happen, so that accident can be prevented. So here we are looking at a situation which may happen in the future, and if we are moving towards that kind of situation, it triggers some kind of control activities, so that the damages that could have been occurred due to the accidents can be prevented. In reactive system, we have seen after the situation has occurred, the control activities start. But here we are talking of in sensing the situation ahead, the control system activities, they start working, so that the damages are minimized or it is negative. That means we will not suffer from any kind of losses. So control systems can be of two types: reactive control systems, proactive control systems. So management control system, the first attribute that we can have is what kind of the control system we should have. Now usually we say we should have a proactive control system. That means sensing the future scenario or the future what is going to happen, we shall try to develop strategies. Now these strategies will help us to cushion us, to safeguard us, or to prevent us from having some kind of major damages. Now, the second thing that we shall discuss in attributes is the performance measurement system. That means every control system, that is MCS, should have a PMS, that is performance measurement system. Now, when we are undertaking any kind of goal to be achieved, first we plan the thing, then we start the actual work or the implementation of the activity starts. Now, as we move forward along the timeline, the activities also move on. So, we try to check either at regular intervals or at any point of time how we are performing. This checking how we are performing means we are trying to measure the performance. Now, once we can measure the performance, then we can say whether it is according to our plans or it is not according to our plans. For that, one of the most important tools that has been developed is balanced scorecard. This balanced scorecard, it links the strategy and performance by developing appropriate measures. What happens here? According to strategy, we plan the various kind of activities. Now, when the actual implementation of activity goes on, that means we are actually performing the tasks or the activities. So there we try to measure how much is their progress. And we try to compare that with whether they are matching our strategy or not. That means we try to link it with our strategy. Now, these measures have to be developed according to the kind of task, according to the situation. So we say balanced scorecard links strategy and performance by developing appropriate measures. Now, this performance measurement system is proactive, or also we call it as steering control system. That means we shall be getting information and we shall be looking at what is going to happen in the future. So that kind of insight will be formed by using the performance measuring system. Now this measurement will tell us or guide us how to go for our strategy to reach the goals. So it is proactive or steering control system. Now another attribute of MCS is the strategy control system linkage through interactive control. Now, what is interactive control? Now, when we generate information by the performance measure system or the measuring tools or the performance measuring tools, we try to match it with what was our strategy. So, the information that comes from the system is matched to strategy so that some sort of interactive control is generated, in the sense that when we match it, we try to know what is the kind of difference that is occurring, whether it is having a bad impact, and if it is bad impact, what are the steps we are going to take so that we can control it. And it is, we can say, reflected back to the strategy, that yes, if we change our activities in such way, then we can match our strategy. Another important aspect of MCS is failure anticipation and contingency planning. Now, when we are talking of failure anticipation, we are talking of some kind of proactive controls. So, using various kind of techniques, tools, we can find out whether we are moving towards a failure. So we have to anticipate that. We have to know in advance that whether the tasks or the activities are going to give us the worst results. So when we can anticipate the failures, immediately we can generate as top management, or if it is, you can say, level divisional managers, the contingency planning. That means what kind of actions we can take so that this kind of failures which are imminent in the forthcoming time period can be avoided. So failure anticipation and contingency planning. Now, when we are talking of MCS, management control system, we try to see that the information which is passing on, who is taking the decisions? Is it only the top management? or it is given to all types of employees. So, when decision making capability is entrusted only a few top managers in the organization, or decision making is focused upon by only a few, then we call it as centralization. Then, if we look at the other angle of centralization, decision making at the hand of every level of management, that will be called as decentralization. Now let us see centralization versus decentralization. Decentralization is a necessity. In today's corporate segment, what we are finding is the corporates are not keeping themselves tied up with a particular area of interest. They are trying to diversify into many things. So here, when there are lots of division in the corporate, lots of information will be generated. And the top management at the corporate level, they may not be focused enough to have proper care for all the divisions in the same weight. So for that, what happens? The authority or the decision making capability is entrusted also to divisional units. The divisional managers also tries to entrust this decision making capability to the respective functional managers in their organization. So we try to find, yes, decentralization is becoming a necessity. When we are talking of decentralization, one may think, suppose I am a middle level manager, that he says, I have got the power to make the decision. Yes, I have got the power to make decisions for the situation, but I have to take the results in my head. In other words, decentralization ensures freedom and autonomy in decision making. As I said, yes, I have the power, I can take the decision, but with that comes the bigger thing, that is accountability and responsibility. So I will be responsible. Anybody can question me, you have taken that decision, what happened to the results? Is it good or is it something else? So decentralization, we can take decisions at every level, but accountability and responsibility also has to be owned or taken up. It is believed that IT and network structures organization may have greater centralization. Why? Now, because the information technology and the network structure deliver the informations to the top management instantaneously, rapidly, so that they can take decisions. But the informations get so big that in real practice it is not the centralization, but it becomes decentralization. Why? Now, because The information is available to all the inside managers, top level, middle level, or the lower levels. They can have easy access to the information and they can utilize it for decentralization decision making. So in reality, organizations are having more decentralization because there is democratic access to information and knowledge inside the organization, which leads to decision making and control. Everyone can have information as it is available to the top management, that is also available to us. Top management may use the information for certain purpose or for certain decisions. The middle level managers or the lower level managers, they may use the information for some other kind of decision making and control. So we are having more amount of decentralization. Now, in management control system, MCS, we have cybernetic paradigm. In other words, it is the feedback factor. That means whatever the decisions we are taking, it will have an impact. Now we shall have to gather feedback on the impact. So when we are talking of feedback factor, it is the science of communication and control. All kind of informations are collected, or data are collected and passed on to the management. That means we are communicating and using those data and classifying them into information, we take necessary control actions if there are any kind of variations between whatever we have planned and the actual implementation of the task. We have to keep in mind all these things should be directed towards the goal of the organization. It is based on negative feedback and its role in purposive and adaptive behavior of systems. Now, when does a negative feedback occurs? It occurs when the deviation, that means the strategy that has been planned or the actual implementation of the strategy, it is giving us a bad impact in the process of getting to the goal of the organization. Now, this feedback factor, when it gives what is the kind of bad impact, then the decision making authorities in the organization, they try to generate some kind of new strategy. That means the control system which is purposive, that means to attain the organization goals or objectives, and adaptive behavior. It has to be adaptive to the emerging scenario. It is helpful in designing MCS, that is management control system, and information systems. In other words, I can say it is management information systems, MIS. So we have management control system. Along with that, we are also having management information system. That means the system which will be carrying or taking or passing the information from one stage of management to other levels of management. Now, the framework for designing control systems. As we have seen, first we set a target. That means the goal or the objective. Now, once this has been set, we generate the plans, or the plans will tell us that in this particular point of time, this is the target to be achieved. Now, the actual implementation at that point of time will tell us how much we have done. That we can measure in either financial terms or non-financial terms. If you are talking about financial terms, you can suppose the example return on investment I can take. How much return on my investment that is expected, or how much is my budget that has been spent. Non-financial, when I am talking of, I can say that this is the specification that we are having at the planning stage, and this is the actual specifications we are getting. Now, when the performance is measured with the plans, what we get? Now we get the deviations. The deviations can have good impact or bad impact. So whether it is good impact or bad impact, we as managers, we should look for what are the reasons behind that. Because if the impact is good, the reasons behind that can be used in certain future period of time. That if we do this type of work, then we will have our work in a better way. But if the deviations are having a negative impact or bad impact towards achieving the objectives, then we can say what are the reasons behind it, why it occurred, who is behind this thing, is it man or machinery? When we try to have questions like this, we generate certain kind of answers, strategies. Now, whichever is the best possible way, we implement it. That means we are taking corrective actions to negate any kind of bad impact or the deviations which is making the bad impact on the organization's objective or goals. Now, as we are talking about management information system. Now, what is that management information system? Let us have a look at it. Now, the name itself is saying management information system. What is the kind of information the management at any level, be it top, middle, or lower, is requiring so that it can move towards achieve the organization's goal, and the system should be placed in the organization and should be working. Now here we talk about data and informations. Now what is the basic difference between data and information? Now let us see a lower level management, sales manager. Information will be coming from customer side. Sales are this much. This particular item was sold this much. Over the last 3 months, this was the jump in the sales, etc. Lots of information from the customer will be coming up. Now, when these ideas from customers are coming up, we call it as data. Data is not useful for us, not useful for decision making. What we have to do? We have to segregate the relevant things. That means, in order to answer my question or my decision making, which data is relevant? Suppose, what is the sales in the last 3 months period? So I'll be looking at all kind of data and I'll be trying to separate only the units or the volume of sales that has occurred in the last 3 months. That becomes the information for my decision making, that whether my last 3 months sales were better as compared to the previous year's last 3 years sales. Now, the lower level management will be having various kind of decisions like one we talked about. Speaking about this sales figure, if we look at top management, they will not look at sales of this 3 month period or this 2 month period, etc. That will become a data for them. From various divisions, data will come regarding sales. But those data were information for the sales manager of the various divisions. So the top management, what it will do? It will try to segregate the relevant things supposed to answer their questions, that the overall sales of the organization is how much, or how much it has jumped as compared to the last year. So the top management will only be taking the overall sales figure of all the divisions and will be combining it, and it will be the information for their decision making. So whenever we get things, be it relevant or irrelevant for the decision making process at any level of management, we call it as data. But when we try to pick up or segregate the relevant data for any purposeful decision making or a particular area where decision making can be done, then we call it as information for that particular decision. So management information system is based on data, and out of data, according to the decision making, we have to convert them into information. It is a set of integrated, well knit, and scientifically designed systems. Now, this data and information will always be flowing from the customer side or the output side to the top management. And again, it will be coming back to the lower level also. So we say MIS converts raw data into decision based. Objective always is to take decisions and control oriented information. That means data should be converted into information for two reasons: to take decisions. Why to take decisions? So that we can control if there are any kind of deviations. So here in MIS we talk of things like it is to provide right information, that means correct information at right time to right person and in the right manner. So for decision making, things have to be correct in every sense. Be it time, be it the person or the management who is using it, be it the need, that is the information, and how the information is going to be used, that means the right manner. Regularity. The information should flow regularly. Nowadays, the IT sector has converted this information system that the information is continuously flowing from one end to the other. Otherwise, you can have information at regular time periods, like every week, every month, etc. This information or the management information system should help us in taking decisions. It should aid in decision making process. As we said, selection of relevant information. So data, out of that relevant data, we may convert it into information. So information for a lower level management may not be information for a top level manager. So according to the requirements, information has to be relevant. It has a built-in system of link up and follow up. Now the MIS tries to link up the various levels of management through flow of information, and the decisions taken at each respective managerial area, whether it is giving us results, positive results or not, should be checked. That means it should be followed up. How we can design MIS? It should be linked to responsibility center. We have seen in the unit 2 of this particular block, responsibility centers. So the management information system should be according to the requirement of the responsibility center. Be it cost center, be it revenue center, be it profit center, be it investment center. It should highlight critical indicators. Yes, critical indicators like financial and non-financial information should be reported, and the important ones for the organization goal should be highlighted. It should aid performance evaluation. When we are talking of performance evaluation, we are matching the actual task undertaken with the planned task. So that will tell us how much actually we have performed. Again, we say that management information system should be a total knowledge management TKM tool. What is it? The TKM? Now it is the use of explicit and tacit knowledge to have competitive advantage. Now, how to understand this explicit or tacit knowledge? We can take the example of, suppose, cricket. Most of us have some idea about the sports, that is the game, that is cricket. If you are going to become a batsman, you are taught by your coach every kind of shots according to the balls or according to the scenario, what kind of shots you shall be playing. And it is also laid down in books. If it is short pitch ball, go back to the crease. If it is full length delivery, then go forward to bat, or move your body forward, or take forward step. All these things are recorded and there in the books and are also taught by coaches. Now, out of crores of batsmen training, all are getting the same kind of knowledge. Everyone does not become a, suppose, to name it, Sachin Tendulkar or Rahul Dravid, etc. Now, we also have gone through coaching sessions. They were taught the same thing. Why they became so successful and why others are failing. In order to answer that, we can say we can have all kind of book knowledges, but the practical approach to use it, that is tacit knowledge, is very important. Similarly, in organizations, what happens? We have managers. They have certain educational degrees whereby they have passed out from certain universities. The various rules, formulas, laws, theories, etc. are laid down and they have gone through that. But using those things in the actual field or in actual scenario makes you either a successful person or unsuccessful person. You will find all the great organizations have people who have tacit knowledge because they are very useful in various kind of scenarios. Behavioral aspects in management control systems. Now, what does MCS do? When we look at behavioral aspects, we have individuals who work in the organization and organization as a whole, which is moving towards a objective. The individuals working in the organization, they have their own goals. Organization also has its own goal. Now, if they match, then the organization will become a successful one. Suppose in a play called as football, 11 players are there on the field for a side. If their mentality match what it is, na, to score as many goals as possible or to defeat the opposition, which is the organizational goal also, then definitely the organization will be successful. So, the primary objective of MCS is to achieve this integration and ensure goal congruence. So, here we can consider both monetary and non-monetary factors. Three situations may arise. One is goals differ between organization and the individuals. So here we cannot have the organizational goal achieved or accomplished. Another way is both organization and the employees have same kind of goals, but there is a wide difference. That means organization wants, suppose, to achieve a target of this much volume, but employees only think that we shall achieve a positive volume or a volume of sales which will give us only a profit amount. So here the goal of the organization is thinking about maximization, but employees are thinking of only to achieve. That means we can talk in the sense break even. So here we can have organizational accomplishment, but it will be very negligible or very less. Now, if the goals of the employee, management and organization becomes common, congruent, same, then it will lead to high organizational accomplishment. For example, the employees, the management or the organization, suppose they have one thing in common regarding their goals, that maximize profit. So definitely the organization can maximize its profit. Now, what are the behavioral dimensions in management control system? Now, when we are talking of MCS, we talk of leadership. When you are controlling a system, you have to take decisions, you have to implement decisions to the emerging scenario so that we can achieve the organizational targets. So leadership is required. Second is communication. Communication has to be very free and it should be flowing upwards, that means towards the top management. Also, it will be coming from top to down, that means towards the lower level of management. Now the communication should be very clear so that we do not have any kind of gray area while communicating any kind of information. Motivation. Employees Mostly we can say that machines are there, there is no question of motivation, but employees have to be motivated. Then management styles. Not each management is same. So management of different organization differ from each other. So accordingly, the control system may also vary. Conflict and cooperation. When lots of employees will be there in the organization, definitely there will be conflict and we have to resolve it and work together, that means in a cooperative way, to achieve the organizational goals. Organization culture and empowerment, that also affects the MCS. We should have ethicality, which will be reflected in the MCS. Now, if employees are allowed for creativity and self-development, definitely that will be shown in the management control system. We know that in organization, people from or workers from various society, various cultural background, they come together. So we have to make them congruent so that we can have a proper MCS. Now, when we are talking of management styles of goal congruence, we have three type of theories: theory X, Y, and Z. X is a negative theory, disempowering theory. All things we talk about in negative terms. But Y and Z are positive theories, where we are talking of empowering either the managers or the employees towards achieving the organization goals. Now, while designing MCS, we should use goal measurement and the results should be used for decision making. The managers who are taking decisions should be accountable for that. And it is always to become proactive. That means develop early warning systems. And always we can have exception reviews. Sometimes what happens in organization, we go or tension is created for the employees. Why? Now, due to needs, manipulation, support from each other, relationship with others in the organization, their role, and whether they are adaptable to changes or not. So these are the areas where tension can be built up. So looking at all the things we discussed, we can design a management control system. So here we shall be ending our session. Thank you.